What's the biggest regret of your life? Was it not confessing your love in high school? Picking a terrible career path? Or perhaps trying to arm wrestle Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson? We all have those regrets where we wish we could travel back in time to undo what we've done, right? I totally get it. I play solo rank, and that's the biggest regret of my life, especially now that I'm stuck in a tier called Mammoth. It's not my first time getting stuck in the Mammoth tier, and that just makes me regret it even more. Like, why do I have to endure all this torture all over again, voluntarily? It's like my inner mind is screaming, "All right, what the hell am I doing here?" This time, let's dive into the tier that makes so many players regret their life choices. The Mammoth! What is the Mammoth tier actually? Why is it so bad? How did it earn its horrible reputation? And my experience of the tier. Stay tuned. I've gathered so many definitions of what the Mammoth tier is, thanks to all of you who shared your insights. As a Mammoth myself, I only have one thing to say. You guys are brutal. Let's pick the top 3 definitions according to my view. Number 3 on the list is from Sailor Enthusiast. He said that being a Mammoth feels like you'll get a mix of players, from absolute newbies who can't do anything to god-level players you'd swear are Smurfs. That's such an insult to me because I can't do anything and people still think I'm a Smurf. It's like I'm on a newbie level, and people still think my gameplay should be worse than that because I'm a Smurf. How much more of a newbie can I be? Like seriously, in the Mammoth tier, it's normal to see someone pop a cipher machine too early or get terror shocked in 10 seconds. I'd be genuinely surprised if I ever got into a match where everyone actually did their job and a harasser kited Naiad for 5 ciphers straight. That would make headlines. Getting terror shocked at 5 ciphers? Bad pop? That's just another day in my Mammoth life. So, thank you, Sailor Enthusiast, for the definition and for exposing me as a Smurf at the newbie level. Now I feel like a pro, even though I popped the machine too early most of the time. Next up, the number 2 is the one coming from Alvarez. One of the most notable thing I get from him is that being the Mammoth tier makes you realize that the world is a cruel and harsh place. He got that right. Playing Survivor rank in Mammoth tier feels like the dumbest decision I've ever made. Seriously, who the heck volunteers for self-torture? But that's exactly what I did. I spent 8 hours a day torturing myself to get out of that tier, split into 2 hours during the day, 4 hours in the evening, and 2 hours at that weird time where you can't tell if it's late night or early morning. I basically turned self-inflicted suffering into a full-time job. So, Alvarez is right about the world. It is a harsh and cruel place if you're playing ranked matches in Mammoth tier. The top definition, though, came from Cassiopeia. He said Mammoth tier loses brain cells so often or never had them in the first place. Thanks a lot for exposing me, buddy. You're such a savage, by the way. People in the Mammoth rank, myself included, tend to forget they're in a ranked match and not a Sui match. Like when you're a batter chasing that one Joseph the whole time, forgetting all about decoding and other duties. Then you fly at 5 ciphers. Ended up getting roasted by your team in the post-match chat, and you just casually say, "Wait, was that a ranked match? I thought we were playing Sui." And then the random gardener on your team unleashes hell, roasting and exposing how bad you were in the match. She had the lowest score, by the way. So yeah, people at the Mammoth tier are kind of brain dead. It's such an agony, especially when you're just trying to relieve your daily stress by doing ranked matches and end up getting even more stressed out. Like, who the heck plays ranked matches to relieve stress? That's a prime example of being brain dead if you ask me. From all those explanations, let's sum up this one hellish tier everyone despises. The Mammoth tier is actually the 4th tier of the Survivor rank, after Worker Bee, Hound, and Elk. You get there by enduring several hours of daily torture in ranked matches. Fun times, right? And once you reach the Mammoth tier, it's like hell itself is welcoming you. Now the question is, how bad can this tier really be? Why is it so miserable being there? I previously said that getting into the Mammoth tier requires enduring torture, but that's not quite true, actually. I mean, reaching the Mammoth tier can be a walk in the park. Lose 3 times, and you're matched with a bot hunter who you can torment for a glorious 60 seconds. That's actually quite long compared to how long I kite a real hunter in quick matches. Getting out of the Mammoth tier, however, that's a whole different story. Being a mammoth, you'll be smacking your phone at least 12 times a day due to bad randoms, bad pings, sluggish waiting time, and your skill issue. If you're using a PC, you'll be restarting your computer every 30 minutes, contemplating whether you're making the right choice doing rank that day. I bet some people stock up on aspirin too, popping those every 2 days just to keep their sanity intact. It's a brutal grind, not gonna lie. It's all blood, sweat, and probably a few tears until you finally claw your way out and reach Griffin. I went through this madness myself back when I was still a rank match junkie. It took me a whole month of pure torture to finally reach Griffin tier, only to find out that it's just a new level of torture with fancier badges. So let's spill it out. The first reason why the Mammoth tier is miserable is because of bad randoms. But honestly, that doesn't mean all randoms are bad. Confused? Let me explain in detail. This is just my observation, by the way. The Mammoth tier players aren't that bad, to be honest. I've met plenty of mammoths who can do their jobs like they're at the unicorn level. Not me, by the way. But for every good mammoth, there are just as many bad ones, like those pushovers who got into the Mammoth tier by getting carried by their friends. Now here's the key. Good mammoths are so rare because they quickly make their way into the next tier. Like, one day you play with a Mammoth tier doctor, who turns out to be a god-level kiter, instead of a usual clown. The next day, you won't find that doctor again because she's either already reached Griffin or just isn't playing that day. Instead, you're matched with some random pushover mammoths who got carried into the tier by their friends, making you think most mammoths are bad. Mammoths get a bad reputation because so many people get stuck there, and it gets worse because doing rank in the Mammoth tier feels like waiting for the One Piece manga to end. It feels like an eternity to get into one rank match, only to end in less than 3 minutes after everyone got knocked out by Bonbon. This of course leads to more and more people getting crammed into the Mammoth tier. You get those, promoted from Elk and demoted Griffins all stuffed into Mammoth. The more survivors there are in the Mammoth tier, the longer the waiting time because they have to wait in queue to get matched with a hunter of the same level. So it's basically an endless loop until you escape that tier, making Mammoth feel even more miserable. Adding to the Mammoth misery are bad matchmaking, bad pings, and everyone's skill issues. Like many of you say, mammoths are either at god level or donkey level, with nothing in between. That's why sometimes you'll feel like a clown in Mammoth, starting the match in the rocket chair, or like the ultimate hero carrying your team to victory. It's all so random unless you team up with your godly friend and let them carry you to the Griffin tier, which, ironically, is as miserable as the Mammoth. With all these perks, being a pro in Mammoth sometimes feels like being the only one who did the homework, but your teacher still gives you hell because the whole class forgot about it. On the flip side, being brain dead in Mammoth doesn't always feel so bad since your teammates are actually Avengers in disguise. Then there's that match where doing Survivor rank in Mammoth feels like watching Godzilla vs. Teletubbies, with you as Poe, your teammates as Tinky Winky, Dipsy and Lala, and that one bloody queen as the Godzilla. But, like I said previously, it's just another day in Mammoth rank. So we've dissected all the issues with the Mammoth tier. Now, let's dive into how to pass through it as fast as humanly possible. You've got two choices, the quick route and the scenic route. Just remember, there's no shortcut, because clawing out of Mammoth comes with its own agony. The quickest way to get through the Mammoth tier is by having someone carry you in ranked matches. That's exactly what I did back in 2020 when I mained Helena, because how the heck would a Helena main get into the Griffin tier without being carried? Nah, just kidding. Back in 2020, I have this one friend. He's such an asshole, by the way. I hate him. The only reason I tolerate him is because he was an amazing kiter, and he always carries me on my journey out of the Mammoth tier. But that comes with a price. Back then, I loved making so many Funny Moments videos, and this friend of mine liked those videos. He liked them so much that he'd always insist we play together and record every match. Like, whenever he kited a hunter for 2 minutes, he always says, "Did you record it? Did you record it? Oh my god, you've got to put that in your next Funny Moments." This happened in almost every match. So irritating, really. Still, I really wanted to get out of the Mammoth tier, so I stuck with him, pretending to be nice and all. But then, one day, I was in a bad mood, and this friend of mine asked me to play together and record every match, as usual. I felt bad rejecting him, so I came up with a plan: make his kiting embarrassing and miserable. Then there I was, playing Helena, and this friend of mine was kiting a geisha nearby. I approached him to drop a pallet and blocked his path. He looked horrified, probably couldn't believe I did that. But then the geisha used her blink and attacked me until I was down. It was quite a chaotic scene. My plan failed miserably, and I was on the verge of being eliminated. I asked for help, but that friend of mine just ran away from me as far as he could. That was the last time we played together, by the way. I checked on him last month, though. He's still struggling in the Mammoth tier, just like me. The second way to get out of Mammoth is by actually getting better at the game. You could check out tips from all those YouTubers out there, just not from me. Because, let's face it, I can barely hold my own in the Mammoth tier too. Speaking of which, being in Mammoth gives me a bit of an inferiority complex about being a YouTuber. Like, take a look at the big IDV YouTubers out there. Nubspector, Geisha Gaming, Psyche, Devastery, and so on. They've got S badges all over. Top-tier survivors or hunters making tips on how to get better at the game and all. So cool, right? Then I look at my tier and wonder if I should just quit being a YouTuber altogether. But then I spot Happy Dog, and I'm kinda relieved because he's also still in the Mammoth tier. I'm a big fan of Happy Dog, by the way. I love his Funny Moments videos. Happy Dog subscribers are almost at 100,000 people. You wanna know why? Because I'm a big fan of Happy Dog. Nah, just kidding. So that's it, guys. The agony of the Mammoth tier. Remember, this is all in good fun, so no hard feelings, okay? If you have any input, feel free to share it in the comments. Thanks for tuning in, folks!